Whiskey. All you need to know about whiskey in 10 minutes or less. Whiskey is a liquor made from fermented grain mash, usually distilled to a high alcohol content and aged in barrels made of oak. Ingredients. The primary ingredient in whiskey is grain. Common grains used in whiskey production are barley. It provides natural enzymes that help convert the starches in the grain into fermentable sugars. Corn. It gives a distinctive sweetness to the whiskey. The high sugar content in corn results in a higher source of alcohol. Rye. It gives a spicy flavor to the whiskey, which is distinct from the sweetness of the corn. Wheat. Wheat whiskey is less common, and it can make the whiskey feel creamier on the palate and is less spicy than rye. Origins. The techniques of distillation came into Scotland and Ireland. Both of them claim the title of inventors of whiskey. With less access to the grapes, they decided to ferment grains to produce an alcoholic beverage. In the year 1608, the old Bushmills distillery was licensed in Northern Ireland, making it the world's first official whiskey distillery. It also gained popularity across the continent. During the colonization, the Irish and Scots brought their knowledge of whiskey distillation with them. Whiskey became so popular in the United States that many distillers used whiskey as a form of currency during the American Revolution. Even George Washington was a whiskey distiller, distilling as much as 300,000 barrels of rye whiskey at his plantation. It may sound weird, but until 1823, the distillation of whiskey in Scotland and Ireland was illegal. Shortly after the legalization of distilleries in Europe, the column steel was added to be a fundamental part in the distillation process. Varieties. Produced with at least 51% corn, Bourbon is a type of whiskey that is made exclusively in the United States, mostly associated with Kentucky. Approximately 95% of Bourbon is produced there. Just like Bourbon, Scotch whiskey can only be made in Scotland. It is usually made by malting a single grain type, although there are some exceptions. To be recognized as Irish, a whiskey law states that it must spend a minimum of 3 years aging on Ireland. Production process. The grains are soaked in water. It's important that the grains aren't allowed to sprout, since that would add unwanted flavors to the whiskey. Right before they start sprouting and growing, the grains are taken out of the water and heated up to stop the germination process. In this process, the grains are placed into large tanks full of warm water. Then, they are mixed to extract the sugars. The mash is transferred to fermentation vessels, and the yeast is added to produce alcohol and carbon dioxide. This process lasts from 48 to 96 hours, resulting in a beer liquid called distiller's beer, or wash, around 7 to 10% alcohol. The resulting mash is distilled in a pot or column stills. Alcohol vaporizes and goes up through the still, becoming liquid again in a condenser. The alcohol content in this process is about 20 to 25%. The distilled liquor is transferred to oak barrels for aging. It must be aged for a specific period of time, but that depends on the type of whiskey. During this period, the liquor interacts with the wood, extracting its flavors. Nearly all whiskies are aged in wood. However, corn whiskey may be aged overnight, depending on the desired result. The aged whiskey is filtered to remove impurities and prevent it from becoming cloudy when cold water or ice is added. Then, it is bottled and labeled for distribution at a minimum of 40% alcohol. When only one barrel is bottled at a time, it is labeled as single cask or single barrel. Regions of production. Whiskey is produced in several regions around the world, each with its unique characteristics. While Scotland is a bigger producer of whiskey in the world and has been for at least 100 years, countries like the United States produce approximately 37 million cases of whiskey each year. Canada produces over 21 million, with 3 high-selling brands: Crown Royal, Black Velvet, and Canadian Club. Irish whiskey was once one of the most popular spirits in the world. Unfortunately, a long period of decline from the late 19th century significantly damaged the industry. While Scotland can count with over 100 distilleries, Ireland currently only has 7 in operation, and 3 of them are relatively new, with no established products in the market yet. Serving. There are several ways to drink whiskey. The most popular one is on the rocks. This way of drinking whiskey slightly dilutes and cools down the liquor, making it more refreshing. The first step to drink whiskey on the rocks is to place 1 or 2 large ice cubes in a glass. Then, pour the desired amount of whiskey. And finally, stir the glass gently to mix the ingredients. Old Fashioned. Probably the most popular whiskey cocktail in the world. To make it, add sugar or a sugar cube into a glass. Add 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. Stir it until the sugar is nearly dissolved. Then add 2 ounces of whiskey and stir it until it's chilled. Finally, garnish it with a branded cherry or lemon twist. Manhattan. It is said to have been invented at the New York City's Manhattan Club in the late 19th century. To make it, first add whiskey, sweet vermouth, and bitters into a mixing glass with ice. Second, stir it until chilled. Third, strain into a chilled glass. And finally, garnish it with a branded cherry or lemon twist. Popular brands. Johnny Walker. One of the largest and most famous whiskey brands in the world, it began with John Walker, who began selling whiskey in his grocery store in Scotland in 1820. His son, Alexander, took over the business in 1857. He expanded the brand popularity and introduced the iconic square bottle design and label in 1867. After Alexander's death, the business was passed down to his sons, Alexander II and George. They are responsible for the illustration of the Striding Men, designed by Tom Brown, as well as naming the whiskies after the color of the label on each bottle. The first of these new branded whiskies were Johnny Walker Red Label and Johnny Walker Black Label. Jack Daniels. The most popular American whiskey brand was established in 1830 and founded in Tennessee in 1866 by Jasper Newton Jack Daniel, making it the oldest registered distillery in the United States. During the Prohibition era in the United States, which lasted from 1920 to 1933, the manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcoholic beverages were banned in the country. This period impacted many distilleries, including Jack Daniels. But after Prohibition ended, despite the adversities, Jack Daniels eventually recovered its status as a leading whiskey brand. One of the most famous liquors in the world, with several variations, each style of whiskey has unique characteristics that makes them an icon all around the world. If you haven't tried it yet, you should do it and judge by yourself. And if you want to know more about a specific or your favorite liquor, leave a like and a comment below.